most famous agent in Lubbock, Texas. I get calls and texts all the time. People freaking out asking me, should I buy a home in 2023 or should I wait until 2024? What do I do? Should I wait till interest rates come down a little bit? Should I buy now? Everyone's brains explode at the question. Well, today we are digging straight into that topic. We are eating it like a bowl of ice cream and we are gonna get right into business. So let's do this thing. It could be a potentially life-altering decision, so we are gonna go through the pros and cons of buying a house in Lubbock in 2023. Okay, so let's start with con number one. Starting off on a bad note. Interest rates have gone through the roof. Over the last year alone, in an all-out war on inflation, the Fed has raised interest rates by 5 percentage points. That is a humongous bump. This is how important interest rates are. For example, let's say you're taking out a 30-year mortgage for $250 grand. If you have a 3.5% interest rate, you'll pay around $154,000 over the life of the loan. If you secure a 4.5% rate, that's just 1 point higher, you'll pay $206,000 in interest over the life of the loan. That's a difference of $50,000 just by 1 percentage point. Now, we're not saying that you gotta own your house forever. You should and could, and that'd be great. This is gonna move us into pro number one, though, of buying a house in 2023 as opposed to waiting. Okay, so pro number one is gonna be the opportunity we are now seeing in the market for buyers. In the last 3 to 4 years, it was a hot seller's market. You were having to bid 15, 20 grand over to get a house. You were having to pay some of the seller's closing costs. The sellers were completely in the driver's seat and they were taking the car off the cliff. Well, now everything has changed. The seats, oh how the turntables. Things are different now. The buyers are now in the driver's seat. They have the power. What we're seeing is lots of negotiation occurring. Now, a buyer can go in and say, well, instead of giving you full price for your house, I can only afford the monthly payment, and if I offer you 20, 30 grand under, and then on top of that, have the seller help pay closing costs. So now we're seeing, from COVID to like the last year, sellers were paying next to no closing costs for any buyer. Now we're seeing them pay a significant chunk of change. The good thing is for buyers now is that over the last 3 years, sellers have gotten so much equity in their house because Texas has just exploded. So they're still gonna be making money even if they sell it for 20, 30 grand less than they thought they might be able to. So a lot of people who are like, just wait to buy a house, now's not a good time to buy. Maybe for some people it's not, but would you rather pay $2,000 a month in rent somewhere and make your landlord richer and give up $24,000 a year, or pay $2,000 a month on a mortgage and pay down equity in your own house? So that's pro number one. If you're wanting to buy a house here, you give me a ring. My number is right here. It will be me you're talking to. I will answer the phone. I can help you out, do whatever. If you're in Lubbock, want to sell your house, whatever you guys want to do, thinking about moving, give me a ring. I would be honored to help you out. I love it. I do help people move all across the country to Lubbock, buy and invest. So if you got a phone, give me a ring because I can help. Con number two. This is for everybody. This is applicable to all, myself included. Uncertain economic conditions. We got to talk about it. No one can see the future. I heard an old saying one time, those who live by the crystal ball are destined to eat glass. Maybe that crystal ball doesn't shatter. Maybe it stays alive and floating at your local psychic or whoever you're going to see with the crystal ball. But anyway, regardless, we don't really know what's going to happen. We can speculate, we can have ideas about what we think is going to happen, but no one can see in the future. Rates could go to 20%. Who knows? I don't think they will. I think that would cause absolute anarchy and upheaval of the complete American system if that happened. I don't think the Fed wants to do that. I have my own opinion about what I think is going to happen, but I do understand why a lot of people are afraid, because we might be going to war with Russia, we might be going to war with China, they might be forming a coalition on us, trying to nuke us, and we ought to nuke them back. That might be happening. Who knows? A lot of people are worried about the just general value of real estate tanking, going down. I've been talking about this for months. I don't think that's going to happen. That's why I personally am invested in Lubbock. We have 12 houses here now. We do believe in the market long term here. The beautiful thing about Lubbock, it is already priced so well, even just across the state, especially nationally, but across the state, it's so affordable. So if you saw at worst a 10% drawdown on a $200,000 house, it's still gonna be worth 180 grand in, let's say, 3-4 years, whatever, if that 10% drawdown occurs. Now, if you're buying an $800,000 house in Dallas and you see a 10% drawdown, that's $80,000. That's almost 100 grand off. that hurts a lot more than what we're seeing in Lubbock. Plus, you can buy a newer house in Lubbock for around there. The uncertainty in the market is definitely a cause for concern, but some of the greatest investors in the world, they abide by the rules of the market. They don't even speculate for the future. They just play by the rules given. Let's say something bad happens and we do go down 5 to 6%. So there's pros and cons, obviously, to gonna be good things about looking into the future and bad things and being a doomer and just feeling like the whole world's gonna collapse. But I think the skilled investor and the intelligent investor plays by the rules given to him based on the market. You buy something that makes sense, that you can afford, your monthly payment, you don't stretch yourself too thin, and then you budget accordingly to that. Maybe you're planning for inflation, you're planning for all these things to go up, but your monthly payment is on a 30-year fixed rate, stays the same. To me, it makes sense to own a home as opposed to renting. But yes, I do see how the uncertainty in the market is affecting people and why that would make you afraid to buy. So that's con number 2. Okay, so as you can see in this chart, we are looking at the impacts of the last year on the economy here. Now, a lot of people can take this data and skew it, which we're gonna run right into it here. So as we're seeing, the average active home price on the market that hasn't sold yet has had a 4% decrease in value from February of 2022 to February of 2023, going from 344,000 to 328,000. As we can see though, the average sold price here is what's most important. We haven't seen any change in that. It's been 249. That was the average sold price. The average sold price is gonna be way lower than the average on market house because a lot of the builders and stuff, their houses are way more, but a lot of the new builds, they're gonna be way pricier than homes that from 200 to 250,000 or something. So more of the inventory is in the more affordable homes, so the more of those get sold. But obviously the more expensive houses bring the price up. This is very important because you're actually seeing right here from January to February a big dip in the sold price. Now what this means, this isn't necessarily a bad thing for buyers. This is actually a good thing for buyers because we're seeing a drawdown in price a bit, because now what's happening are we see a good chunk of people who are moving to Lubbock who can't afford, you know, a $350,000, $400,000, $500,000 house. So there's gonna be more opportunity for the cheaper, more affordable houses. What happens with people who need to sell, they are willing to cut deals on their homes. So this doesn't necessarily mean that prices are tanking. It just means that of the houses sold on the market, we are seeing that price go down. Doesn't mean by and large they're tanking. It's just that of the houses being sold, the prices are going down. So we're just hammering that point home that our property values have not dipped that much, and I don't think they are going to by and large because there are still a lot of houses that are being sold. We're not seeing a complete shutdown of real estate by any means, just a pretty significant drawdown, but obviously going back to the whole thing, that brings opportunity for the buyers in the market. Another con about Lubbock is pretty specific to Lubbock is that our inventory has been very low, which also does a good amount to stabilize prices. But during the COVID boom, I mean, that's why prices were also shooting through the roof, is because we had such little inventory to accommodate how many people wanted to buy a house and how many people were moving here. Our supply was so low, our demand was super high. So now it's actually good because builders are actually kind of catching up to that demand. New homes are being built. Most people are on a 30-year fixed rate mortgage. If you bought your house in the last 5-6 years, most people are on like a 30-year fixed with a 5% or below rate. They're very comfortable and cozy with their monthly payments, and they might not need to sell. That's the thing. So I worry about for people who are waiting to buy, I'm thinking, why not try to figure out how we can make you a deal on a house right now instead of waiting for the floodgates to open in a year or two when rates come down and then the mass frenzy begins again, like piranhas eating somebody's leg. It's gonna happen again. It's just inevitable. Real estate's not going anywhere. I personally think people need to have their money in assets and commodities. It's an absolute necessity. This isn't financial advice, obviously, but I just think it's so important, especially if we're worried about inflation, hyperinflation, and potentially, hopefully not stagflation. But it's good to have an asset to hedge your bet against everything that could come with the dollar dropping in value horrendously. Like I said, if you guys have any questions, give me a call. Numbers right here. Watch some of our previous videos here. We will see you guys in the next one. Toodles.